This is the College Football Connection podcast with Marty Jenkins and Alvin Reid on 101 ESPN.
Greetings, college football fans. It's a brave new world, not only for the expanded college football playoffs, but also for us. This is the pilot. It is the 101 ESPN YouTube channel debut for your boys on the College Football Connection. Greetings, I am Bradford Bruns, joined as always by Marty Jenkins as well as Alvin Reid. Guys, with the help of our man Drew, we are live. We've got the visuals to accompany all of the audio breakdowns and just in time for week number 1. How are we feeling today?
I'm feeling like, man, it is a privilege and an honor to be on YouTube with you guys. We picked the hottest damn day of the year to kick this thing off, but that's all right because we're going to be hot on our picks. I'm very excited. I'm ready to go. Man, it's a tough week in a weird way, but we'll talk about it.
Absolutely.
I'm ready.
It was actually, gentlemen, a scorcher and a soft start of sorts over in Dublin, Ireland over the weekend as you had Georgia Tech in the first really big game, let's just say it, signature game of week 0, week 1, abbreviated version, however you want to categorize it. Last second game-winning field goal for all intents and purposes. Georgia Tech nipping Florida State 24-21. So that happened right off of the bat. And before we dig into the Thursday 3-pack, especially on the regional scene, some interesting goings-on from that game. And also, I think, the way in which maybe you perceive this Seminole squad going into the year.
People out there talking about, this knocks them out of the race. If you're losing to Georgia Tech, you ain't in a race. No national title race, Final 12 for you this year. That was a great game. I enjoyed seeing that. Love that they're doing that in Ireland every year. And Georgia Tech came in. That defense was impressive. Norvell and company. I don't think they were going to run up against a team like that. I thought Florida State would win that game pretty handily. But no, if you lose to Georgia Tech, you're not going to be in a national title hunt / talk this year. I mean, that's donezo in my opinion.
No, if you lose to Georgia Tech in Tallahassee, you're done. If you lose to Georgia Tech in Atlanta, you're done. This whole thing where they come to me and you're going to play your first game, a conference game against a good team in Ireland, I'm passing on that. No. My job is to win football games, not to entertain the nation. It was an upset waiting to happen. I'm not surprised. Georgia Tech is a better football team than I think they were given credit for. Mm-hmm. And by the time, by the time you go to Ireland, you're there 6 days and all that nonsense in August, week 0. Yeah. I mean, come on. That's anything can happen. Well, anything did happen. And Florida State could have very easily won that game. I mean, they've kind of flitted that game away too. They had their chances. Does Florida State have to pretty much run the table? Not necessarily, because they can still win the conference.
No, if they go 10-2 with that loss to Georgia Tech.
I'm saying if they win all of their conference games between now and then.
Yeah, basically, what do they have to do to be in the final 12?
Win the conference.
Okay, I think they got it. Yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying. They would have to win the conference, which would mean Georgia Tech would have to lose 2 games. Yeah. Okay? Riddle me this. Is there an ACC title game?
Yes.
All right. So maybe they face each other in the title game.
Bottom line is, I think it's an extremely small.
No. I'm just saying they have. I'm just saying they have a chance. What they would have to do.
There is a title game. We'll see exactly who ends up playing in the festivities there. We will get into Clemson, one of the foremost rivals, obviously, for Florida State later in this program. Clemson has a dandy on the schedule to kick off the campaign, but we will kick off today's coverage with the Thursday trio. Gentlemen, we're talking about 48 hours, barely just that, as you have Murray State traveling to Mizzou, as well as KU versus Lindenwood in Kansas City, if I'm not mistaken. And finally, the nightcap there, Eastern Illinois visiting Illinois. First and foremost, though, let's take it to Como, where last week, head coach Eli Drinkwitz, Marty, he basically issued a call to order for the fan base in mid-Missouri. He was out there, the bluster, the bravado, it was in full effect at the tail end of fall camp. And I think a lot of the sentiments were genuine. They were spot on insofar as you have a team coming in Murray State, visiting number 11 Missouri. And right now, at present, that spread, Mizzou is favored by a whopping 47.5 points. The over-under for this contest currently slated at 57.5. But the messaging and the objective, it was clear. if you are wanting to join the ranks of the behemoths in the conference, in the league, and you're really ready to make waves, you're not just packing the joint. This was Drinkwitz's point. You're not just packing the joint for the OUs, for the A&Ms, and so forth, for example. You're doing it on a Thursday night for the opener as well, pushing the fan base to get out there. I don't exactly know, gentlemen, if it's going to be the most palpable of atmospheres there in terms of excitement and enthusiasm, but I will say this. You understand that Murray State is coming in looking to do a little bit of something after a 2-win season. Dean Hood is gone. They bring in the great Jody Wright, the former tight ends coach there at South Carolina. But we're not kidding ourselves here. We know that Murray State up front, the O-line is in shambles essentially. And Missouri, it really is a good opportunity to get the collective feet wet for this pass rush. And a pass rush that, to me, gentlemen, early on in the campaign is going to be under a lot of scrutiny because Darius Robinson, he is gone. That has been well established. He's off to the NFL, a first-round pick, and rightfully so by the Arizona Cardinals. Johnny Walker Jr., as a junior and as a new team captain, he is going to have to take that baton to be the premium edge rusher. And yet, if you're looking at depth for this team, if you're looking at depth for this unit, it is a little bit thin to commence the campaign. A couple of weeks ago, one of the last few practices of fall camp, Darius Smith sustains a season-ending knee injury. Huge transfer out of Georgia. They're looking to fill some holes. They're looking to really have an opportunity to stoke the pass rush under the new DC, Corey Batoon, and I think this is a prime opportunity to do just that as soon as the opening quarter begins on Thursday.
Well, as I said in the opening, this is kind of a difficult week in an odd way because the numbers are so enormous as to how many points these teams are favored by. All right, now let's take Missouri. The objective of the game, obviously, is to win. And Drinkwitz wants the place packed, and he wants, just a really, really great atmosphere. But if you ask him, the object is not to stomp somebody by 65 points. It's let's see what we got. Mm-hmm. Let's play a good game on offense, defense, special teams. Let's not get anybody hurt. Yeah. All right?
Amen.
So I'm looking at this, and Murray State, as far as the, who covers or not on that 47-5, I mean, if Murray State finds a way to score 14 points, you got to get into the 60s if you're Missouri. All right. And I'm talking about you're holding Murray State to 3-7-0 points with 12 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And who the hell knows is in the football game at that time.
True.
They've changed the rules also, too. You could dress however many you want to, but you cannot play how many you want to. That has changed back in my day, So, thus, they'll bring, I think, traveling is now 70 guys. Now, those 70 will get worn out, but it's like Missouri could play 110 dudes. And it's going to be hot still, not as hot as it is right now. But, I'll jump to it. I think Murray State, I'm going to take Murray State. I'm going to take them 47.5 points. Uh-huh. Not because, the score might be 60-0. All right. And then Murray State just scores some touchdowns at the end of the game, which no one cares about. And I don't care what Eli says. If the score is 60-0 and it's hot, by 9 o'clock, ain't nobody going to be in that stadium. So I could see where Murray State squeaks in, okay? So if that's our first official pick of the year, I'll lay it on there. I'm going with Murray State. I'm taking my 47.5.
Marty, you've got that tiger tail, though, do you not? Give it to us. Give it to us.
I'll give it to you in a second. I just want to get on board here. Alvin is taking the Racers to cover.
Right.
And are you messing with that over-under?
I am going to mess with the over-under. I think it will be over. Okay. I think Murray State finds a way to score some points. And you know what? Missouri's going to have no turnovers. Missouri's going to play a perfect game. I don't see that. It's first game of the year. Plus, it's on a Thursday night.
I love what Drink brings to the table. When he was hired here, I love the passion, the enthusiasm, the call for everybody to come out. You want to see that with a head coach. End of story. But it's going to be 110 degrees.
Is it still going to be that hot, man, on Thursday?
It's going to feel like it.
It's going to feel like it. Yeah, yours is a good point.
Listen, I'm talking 80% filled would be a win.
I don't don't know if that's a win, man. If you're trying to make a point.
It's a win preceding Labor Day, the weekend, the students. If you can retain that number, I agree with you there.
Okay. All right.
I think that's a best case scenario.
Being realistic.
Being realistic.
Being realistic. But anyways, you look at them. They're coming off, a 2-10 campaign. No movement on this line thus far, and you're going to find that opening week. There's not going to be a lot of movements on these things, unless, big news comes down, like Georgia with the running back situation. You see some movement. But these lopsided spreads, there's not going to be much movement on the lines. And we got 57.5. This is official, Alvin. I'm going 57.5. I'm going the over. And I think, biggest takeaway here, like you said, don't get anybody hurt.
Right.
But I think 62-0, 69-0 is what we're looking at. So give me the over and the Tigers.
For me, I think that these teams flirt with the high 50s in this game, but I'm actually going against the grain. And here's why, guys. Partially due to some of the reasons, obviously, Alvin, that you referenced. But when you get into the second half, and you're talking about game number 1, you're talking about the sweltering conditions. Why would you not, particularly if you're Missouri? And you would think at that point in time, for crying out loud, you had better well have this game in hand. Missouri this season is going to win by committee in the backfield. At least that's what we're getting as far as first impressions are concerned. Nate Noel is going to be your starter. He is fleet of foot. He gives you that razzle-dazzle. It's going to be nice to see in the first half. But make no mistake about it, more of the bruiser, the grinder. Carroll is going to be getting a lot of carries in the second half, and I wouldn't even be surprised, guys, against this opponent if you see a sprinkling as well of the freshman in Lacey, Jamal Roberts, the one returning guy from that backfield last season. They're all going to get reps. It is a long way of saying that the sheer explosiveness from your ones won't be there forever in this contest. And it's a perfect opportunity to also gauge and assess what you have. I'm going to say it. Yes, I will jump to conclusions from the backup, the understudy quarterback, Drew Pine. Okay, he is coming in as a transfer from out west. Brady Cook will get his numbers. That offense will be humming in half number 1. Luther Burden, looking at you, this is a great opportunity. This first quadrant in the schedule, you make your Heisman case as far as numbers go during this time. But Theo Weiss, Marquise Johnson, Mekhi Miller, maybe even Crutchfield gets a little action in this game. The list goes on and on and on. And if you're telling me that Murray State comes into this game with a new head coach, a new regime, not even a returning quarterback, 7 of the 10 top receivers from a 2-win team 1 year ago, they're all gone? No. This game is not going over 60 points. It is the under. But to say that Mizzou, at the end of the day, at the end of the evening, is basically going to win by 7 touchdowns, it may be 6. I'll go with 6. But I can't take Mizzou to cover this number. No, Murray State ekes out a field goal, a touchdown, something funky will happen in week 1 on a Thursday night.
That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. This is not saying Missouri is not capable.
Yeah.
I mean, they play Murray State 4 weeks from now. Who knows? But I'm just saying, on a Thursday night, kick off the season, a lot can happen on a hot Thursday night.
Runs under in the racers, and by the way, Drew Pine, who got a lot of playing time with injuries with now former Irish quarterback.
That's right.
Well, I forgot about that.
It did not escape my attention.
Right. Who all did he lose to?
Speaking of strange foot, things may be being afoot, though, gentlemen. Let's swing it to Kansas City. Where? That's right, number 22, Alvin, KU. Coming off of that 9-4 season, everybody around here obviously excited about MU for the 11-win campaign, but KU 9-4 and listed in both of the major polls in the top 25 for the first time entering a season, gentlemen, since 2008. You're going up against the Lindenwood Lions. I love that reference right there. That's right. Lindenwood Lions, who just 2 years ago were playing D2 football. Made, you don't want to say seismic waves a year ago. 3 wins, certainly nothing about which to really get ramped up. But there is a really nice threat out wide at receiver, and that is the junior, making some big-time Big South OVC waves in Jeff Caldwell. KU's secondary, though, doesn't figure to be tested by a lot of other individuals there for LU. I'm intrigued, Alvin, to see just how long the ones are playing in this contest, too, and specifically Mr. Daniels. How many fireworks can we see before this thing gets out of hand?
If KU gets ahead, doing their job, 3-4 touchdown lead. Daniels may come out of the game.
As he
They
should.
got to keep him healthy the entire season, okay?
3 or 4 touchdowns.
All right. I would say 28 gets him out of the game. I would say mid-third quarter gets him out of the game regardless. I really do, all right?
Okay.
You got to keep him healthy. That's if KU is going to do all these magical things that some people think they're going to do, they have to keep that kid healthy, all right? Once again, I'm going traveling down that same path. I'm also quite aware of the fact we have come a long way in a relatively short period of time.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw that, 43-5. What? I don't forget that 5 years ago we didn't win a game. Right. Who are we giving 43-5 to? Nobody. Lindenwood, anybody else. I think Lindenwood covers the 43-5 for the same reasons that Murray State covers against Missouri. And I also think, same as Missouri and Murray State, I think this game goes over the 58-5. I think points will be scored, but I think Lindenwood will find a way to score some points. And I don't think KU will score as many as Missouri. So thus, while it's a 4-point difference in the spreads, I also don't think KU will cover the 43-5. I will say this, that we are playing in Mercy Children's Soccer Park in Kansas City, and the game will be sold out because there's only like 28,000 seats in it.
Okay.
Only 2 games. Then we go to Arrowhead.
Oh, okay.
Now, KU keeps this thing rolling. That'll be a sight to see, in Arrowhead. So we'll see if we get there, all right? But as for Thursday night, you'll be in a jam-packed soccer park, and I think the crowd will be pretty live, and I think that will work in KU's favor. But same things. You can't get Daniels hurt. You don't want to get any of your receivers hurt. We do have some depth on defense, but, man, our starters, by the time you get to number 3, you don't want them out there playing right now. So, thus, I think they take it easy also. So, same thing. Lindenwood covers 43-5. I am going with the over on the 58-5.
2 at Children's Park. Who's the other one?
UNLV, who we played in the ball game.
Ooh, the Rebs.
Yeah, the Rebs come in. And there was lots of pushing 7. It was a chippy game. Officiated horribly. ACC refs, terribly, horribly, as both teams. Just bad. It was a game like 4 hours and 15 minutes. Could have been like 3 hours. All right. But I digress. We won, but it was chippy. That game will be like, you know what? Let's put these guys in there for real place this time. I don't even know what the line will be in that one, but I'll take KU to cover that line more than this one here this week. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it in about a couple of weeks.
What are you feeling, Marty?
I think it's going to be hot as sin there. Obviously.
Oh yeah, I looked. It's about the same.
Not many seats there. You're going to pack the place, though, 100%.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Well, there ain't no comp tickets for people like me. So, what's going on?
It's going to be hot. It's going to be an interesting transition for them to play there, though, for a couple of games. And I do, Lindenwood, I think they're going to run the ball. They do have the threat outside. I think they are going to kill some clock, which is why I love the under in this game. But I am with you, Alvin. I don't see Kansas covering that amount of points. And you know what? Lindenwood's got something to prove in this game. They got a lot to prove.
It's their first. No, this is their first official Division I game. Yes. They have played Division I teams, but this is their first official D1 game.
I think Jed Stu and company are going to hang for a bit, whether that's 1 quarter or 2. I still like the under. 58.5 is a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, 58.5 is a lot. I love the under in this one. Rebuilt offensive line on that front. I think Lindenwood, they got a lot to play for. I don't think we're going to even reach the 50s. So I am going to take Lindenwood and the under late.
And Alvin, that's a great point of distinction insofar as it is the first big prohibitive test for the Lions on this stage. It is a big stage at that. And partially due to that reason, I think that, let's not kid ourselves, it's not going to be a game well into the second half, into the fourth quarter, or anything along those lines. And yet, I do believe that as things get a little more rugged, a little chippy, a little sloppy in the second half, the KU offensive line, the first unit guys, Alvin, even the first unit guys, if you're talking about a rebuilt, reconfigured group,
yes.
Well, if you're trying to get valuable reps for the understudies there as well, things could get crazy. Things could also get a little hectic in terms of the points. Just call it a gut feeling here, gut reaction. I'm taking the over on this one. Low 60s, and at the same time, KU not covering the number of 43.5 because I trust, quite honestly, and hearkening back to our first game that we previewed, the Lions' ability to put more points on the board in total with the second unit personnel as opposed to Murray State versus Mizzou. So 2 games down. Let's swing it around, though. Let's talk about the Big Ten as we roll forward. The first video presentation for you here on the 101 ESPN YouTube channel. College Football Connection, Bradford Bruns, Alvin, Reid, and Marty Jenkins to conclude the Thursday slate. Eastern Illinois, gentlemen.
Panthers.
Eastern Illinois. Visiting Champaign, Illinois. Illinois.
Yeah, I know.
Finding a line I favored by 27.5 right now. The over-under for the 8 o'clock kickoff. So 1 hour later than Mizzou and also KU-LU. 8 o'clock kickoff, 45.5 is that figure. And this is just the second time, guys. The second time that Illinois has actually played versus an FCS squadron since 2018. Last season, you lost a lot in terms of personnel, and I would contend identity for this group as well. It was not as rough and tumble. It was not as mean. You just didn't have as much of that ferocious pass rush, and Illinois wasn't scaring anybody whatsoever. At the same time, we understand that the opponent here is an FCS foe, but we also get that Eastern Illinois is supposed to be regarded as one of the premier FCS outfits this season. Could hang around that top 25 for the duration of the campaign, and last year did force the defense was able to wreak a little havoc. An FCS high 25 takeaways. Having said that, Illinois at home to kick off this season, marquee event on a Thursday, you have to come out with an authoritative performance. There's enough returning talent on both sides. For once, I truly believe that Illinois overwhelms an opponent to begin a season, and Champaign is rocking for, if only one evening, it's still one evening and a hot one on that. Hey, Illinois, I think Illinois can win by 4 TDs, albeit barely. I am gun shy about that over-under number. I really am. Illinois is playing after all. Illinois is involved. But what the heck? Let's make it. Let's go 2 for 2, and let's say barely over 45.5 as well. I am eerily intrigued by this game.
I am eerily intrigued as well. I have to disagree with you. I don't think it's going to be rocking and Champaign.
You're talking to Tanner here, I guess, you know. Tanner Hendrickson, shout out 101 ESPN.
Hey, listen, this went from 30.5 to 27.5. You mentioned it, Bradford. They're going to be hanging around the top 25 for the duration of the season. You know, it's a solid program. You know, if you're looking at futures bet for overall total wins for the season, the Illini are kind of lingering around that 5.5 range. Probably going to be a 4-8 campaign. Maybe 5-7.
Ooh.
Is some returning talent. You know, but EIU comes in. This went from 30.5 to 27.5. A veteran team from EIU, but I think the difference in this one is going to be the Illini defense. The Illini defense, you know, if they're going to get to 6 wins this year, it's not going to be because of their offense. Okay, they're going to have to force turnovers, something they did not do last year, but the defense does have some nice pieces to it. But starting this off, it's going to be hot. As we mentioned, EIU comes in. We're looking at 45.5. Is that what you had?
45.5.
Okay. EIU 8-3 last year. I don't think they're going to score many points, but I am going to go. I don't think it's going to be rocking, but I do think the Illini will cover. I'm rolling with you on that one, Bradford, but I am going with the under. Alvin?
I'm just wondering how many kids didn't get a scholarship offer from the University of Illinois to play for EIU. I mean, the one thing these 3 games don't have in common is the opponent. Where Eastern Illinois, like, wait a minute, we're right down the road from them. This is like a little state little thing, and we're pretty good. We're pretty good. We're 8-3. We can win playoff games in the FCS. Come on, I think they cover. Now
maybe money line too.
Oh boy,
So bold, so early.
I know. My deal is this: with Eastern Illinois coming in there. How many teams have come into Illinois for this first game of the year? And I know for 2 years straight, whoever the hell they played, I thought Illinois would just dispatch with them. And it did not happen. And so thus, I think that, no, this is going to be a for real game, at least long enough that Illinois does not cover that 27.5. And I'm going on the under on this one. I just.
You think maybe, people could start turning on TV third quarter? Oh, we got something going on.
At least, like the score is, 28-12. Yeah. And EIU has the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, something like that. Now all of a sudden you're like, hey, they score a touchdown here, 2-point conversion.
Now the cheeks get tight.
Yeah, exactly. I could see something like that happening. So you know what? If anything of these games that we just mentioned, really bizarro was going to happen, it would be the Eastern Illinois game.
The fact of the matter is that we're standing here. We love doing it. We are debating 20, 30, 40-point games in all likelihood for this Thursday, right? Now, having said all of that, we do have a couple of contests on the national scene that we definitely want to look at and examine. There will be an audio exclusive presentation later in the week on 101ESPN.com, so make sure that you're checking that out, in which we take a deep dive across the nation. But a couple of quick ones, guys, to get to, and some dandies at that. Saturday, 11 a.m. kickoff, all right? You've got Clemson, number 14 Clemson right now. We understand what happened mere days ago to Florida State, a foremost rival there of Clemson. How will those Tigers fare against Georgia in a game, albeit a tilt taking place in Hotlanta? So not between the hedges, but Georgia, nonetheless, ATL there. Georgia at present, number one favorite in the nation, favored here by 13.5. The over-under is 49.5. And when I look at this on paper, guys, and I really dig in and try to put Clemson under the microscope and figure out in year two, with portal mania unfolding everywhere across the country, and once again, Dabo didn't do a whole lot to, whether you say, rectify the situation, address it. That's not his game. Not right now, at least. He did retool the front seven out of necessity on defense. So, when you think about some of the question marks there and whether you can muster, sustain a consistent pass rush, be able to control, rove up and down the edges and the sidelines, and you want to try to wreak havoc along the interior of the Georgia offensive line, mind you, a unit that is regarded as probably the finest entering any season that Kirby Smart has had in Georgia. And all we know, as we know, all Carson Beck does is go out and absolutely dissect opposing defenses. I know that Bowers is no longer there at tight end. I understand it. But in a rough and tumble contest to begin the campaign, you have to be absolutely kidding me if you're saying Georgia will not win by at least 3 touchdowns here. It is the Bulldogs. I am bullish on Smart, Beck, and company to win this one by 20 plus. That over-under of 49.5. It's going to get out of hand in the second half. I'm taking those points. Go over.
Okay, so wait a minute. You're going the Dogs?
Yeah.
Over,
yes, sir.
All right. I can't wait for this one. Hey, but let me hit the reverse real quick. Alvin, for that EIU, were you going over or under?
I went over.
Okay, just want to double check.
No, I went under.
You went under.
I went under. EIU, Illinois, I went under.
Sorry, I missed that. Let's fast forward. Can't wait for this tilt. And you know what? I think we all have different opinions. I mentioned a few weeks ago, I don't think the big bad Georgia Dogs are going to be what everybody thinks they're going to be this year.
Sticking with it.
Sticking with it. I am very intrigued by this game. What's going to happen with Etienne? I think that's going to be where Clemson, if they have a bright spot, Clemson, and they're trying to bounce back, we don't know what we're going to get with Klubnik, but their defense is solid. This place is going to be rocking. If I know one thing, this fan base is this place is going to be rocking. They start this tilt every year at the beginning of the season. I think coming back this year, Clemson's defense is going to be legit, the real deal. I think they're going to be a 9 or 10 win team. I think the Dogs are also going to be a 9 or 10 win team. But in this contest, Georgia's going to potentially be, I know they got depth on their third string running back, littered with NFL talent. But I take a look at that 13.5 and 48.5, and I do like Carson Beck. But I do think they're going to stop that run game, and I think we're going to see the under in this contest. I think it's going to be a sloppy affair. I really like Clemson to kind of shock the nation in this game and not only cover, But this could be a game late in the third quarter. I'm taking Clemson in the under.
Swinney's whole thing where we're not going to do the portal and everybody else in the world is doing the portal, has no money. He's got all the money in the world. He refuses to do it. Something else he refuses to do? Change the stuff he does on the field. In-game, progress. What are they doing? How do we change? None of that. That's been Clemson's problem since he didn't have the best team going into every game. What's wrong with Clemson? Because they standing there watching the game. That's what the coaching staff is doing. At least that's what Dabo Swinney is doing.
Post Deshaun and Lawrence,
right.
You could make that argument.
Hey, there you go. That's what's going to happen. Blowout City, Marty. I'm sorry, man. Georgia going to put a foot in that. I'm telling you. I just do not think Clemson is that anymore. I really don't. Those days are over. I don't care if it's on all of it. Those days are over where you had the best offensive line, defensive line, the best weapons on offense. They had a good run. It's over. It's over. Georgia is better. Georgia will prove it. 13.5 is not enough to contain Georgia. Georgia covers the 13.5. They're going over 49.5 because Georgia might score 42 points.
Okay.
For me, it doesn't matter. It's immaterial that Clemson is indeed 4-1 in its last 5 against the spread. I agree with you as far as the long-term trajectory of Clemson, of the program, and I get the feeling as though later on in the season on the College Football Connection, we're going to be discussing exactly where Dabo may end up landing next.
He gonna coach the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, boy.
The Cowboys.
I'm just kidding.
How about that development?
No, but I'm just saying, I'm with you. That people are going to be scratching that head on Dabo Swinney, like, why is this guy the head coach again?
What's the future of Clemson?
Yeah. Oh, well, they're going to sit him down and say, like, I don't care if you like it or not. We got to get in this portal. I mean, that's just all there is to it.
Wonder if CD would be excited by that development. I digress.
I
Things to ponder. We do have one more contest to cover here on our 101 ESPN YouTube channel special presentation of College Football Connection. It is none other than Marty's number 7 Notre Dame Fighting Irish at Texas A&M on Saturday. It is a primetime kickoff, Marty, at Kyle Field. Right now, I was legitimately surprised with the turnover, with the necessary coaching change, the switch up in the regime there for Texas A&M, and yet the Aggies at home are favored at present by 2.5 in a game that features an over-under figure, Alvin, of 46.5. I said it a couple of weeks ago when we got together to wrap in our season preview edition of the College Football Connection. If you're going to get Texas A&M, get Texas A&M early in the schedule before Mike Elko, coming over from Duke, really is able to put his imprint on that defense. We love Scorton. We love the other personnel that has been added on that side of the ball. I love the offense personally, too. I really do. I think Weigman is a very fine quarterback, more than just functional. He can elevate the talent around him. He has a trio of great returning receivers there. And at the same time, I don't really know why Notre Dame in this contest, yes, Notre Dame has its own new QB. Goodbye, Mr. Hartman. I know you are pinning him farewell notes as we once we leave.
I had no
the
dog
air.
in that fight, but
No.
He disappointed me.
No. Yeah. Riley Leonard, though, also from Duke. He is now at the helm. But, Marty, probably the unit, the aspect of this team about which I'm the most excited, on which I'm the most bullish entering 2024, it's Al Golden's defense. It really is. The secondary, I am a fan. You're returning enough playmakers there. And at the same time, in this game, the only thing that is giving me pause as far as picking Notre Dame to win outright, maybe even doing so by a touchdown, I am skeptical about the offensive line, because if Texas A&M is turning up that heat consistently, you did lose Joe Alt and Blake Fisher to the NFL. There are question marks there despite the playmakers.
Listen, I'm not going to lie. I was in Mass last night, and I had to say a prayer.
Golden Domer. Touchdown, Jesus.
Got my little one with me, and I sprinkled in a little bit there. You know, runs in our family. You know? Listen, this place is going to be rocking. It always is at Kyle Field.
12th man.
College Station. The thing with the Irish, you know, you mentioned Riley Leonard. I like Riley Leonard. I think he's going to be a good quarterback for the Irish. I like what he can do. The big question mark for this Irish team, and you look at their lofty preseason ranking, everybody's saying, yeah, but what about the offensive line? They lost a lot. I'm very, very interested to see, Elko, that D line. It could be a long ass night for the Irish. And it's going to be hot. It's going to be prime time. I'm very interested to see what happens here. But at the same time, 2.5 points.
Yeah.
They're favored by that. This is a team coming off. They were like 7-6 last year. A&M. I know how these Irish games go. It's kind of like with the Cubs, they make you take medicine. It's so stressful. This game's going to come down to the wire. Okay, 2.5 points. I do think the Irish will win by a field goal because you take a look at this A&M team and what they bring back. It is a team, they hit the portal nice, but they're coming off a 7-win campaign. I just think the Irish, especially in that defense, people have the Irish in the final 12 this year. And a lot of that reason is because of the defense and also because of the schedule. That schedule, for once, is very manageable for the Irish. But they got to get by this one. It's going to be tough. I can't wait to see what happens, but I can't, if I'm being objective about this, I got to take the Irish to outright win this game. And I don't think there's going to be a lot of points. So I'm going with the under as well.
All right. This is an ultimate prove it. Okay.
Yep.
Coach, y'all go down there and take care of your business. I was wrong. But Notre Dame on this one has to prove it to me. Now, that being said, Notre Dame could be by 1 or 2 points. I'll still be good because I'm gonna take my 2.5 points. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Roll with the Irish.
I'm rolling with Texas A&M to cover the 2.5.
Oh.
Yes, I am. Okay. Yes. I'm just saying that, Texas A&M technically has to win by 2.5. So if they're trailing by 1 and they could not cover and win the game. Right. Okay. But prove it. Prove you can handle this crowd, that heat. Expectation is mug, like I said, expectation, number 7, you're supposed to do this and you're supposed to do that. Yeah. Go down there and win that game, especially win that game handily. I'm also going with the under on this one. I don't see 46-5. I just don't.
As you stated.
Did you say over under Bradford? I'm sorry.
Coming with it. I'm coming with it. As you stated, Alvin, this is week 1 or not, one of those ultimate for Notre Dame season prove it litmus test contests. It really is. I like the Irish in this spot to win straight up. Yeah. And I do think that enough offense for both teams is going to be generated to actually eclipse that number of 46.5 and what could wind up being, gentlemen, perhaps the most intriguing matchup and perhaps the tightest of the big-time affairs in week number 1. I firmly do believe that. But there are a couple of other would-be barn burners on the docket. So later in the week, out there in the audience, we ask you to certainly come back around and check out what we have to say. We're going to be taking a deep dive into USC, Big Ten USC Trojans at LSU,
Ryan Kelly, baby.
Albeit in Vegas. The Trojans and those Tigers will be getting after it, as well as PSU, number 8 Nittany Lions, maybe in a tight spot of sorts against West Virginia. That and much more as we recap the goings-on around the local scene on Thursday and look ahead to the first full weekend of college football on the College Football Connection. As a reminder, moving forward once per week, maybe sometimes even twice weekly, you can check us out on the 101 ESPN YouTube channel, 101ESPN.com, maybe even tune into the mothership, 101 ESPN. You'll hear us bouncing around an instant replay version from time to time as well. I am Bradford Bruns. My X handle, which does need to be picked up in terms of activity just a tad. We're going to work on that. It is at Game of Bruns. I'm joined, as always, by Alvin Reid, sir.
A. Reid, that's capital A, capital A-R, Jayhawks with a capital J.
And Marty the Party Jenkins. Guys, it's been a ball. We are live. We are visual. We are there for the people. Alvin looking dapper as per usual, sir. We've got to work on the balance in the room.
Can't promise it every week, but we'll do a little something.
Is that Brook Brothers?
Oh, no, it's H&M, my new store, baby. Oh yeah. Oh, that reasonably priced, nice fashions. I'm sure they've, give them a free plug here. Maybe they'll send me a little something shopping,
Always accepted. Your listening, your care and attentiveness, always appreciated as well. Thank you so much for watching this time around and listening. And until next week, we will take care and check you later.
You've been listening to the College Football Connection podcast with Marty Jenkins and Alvin Reid on 101 ESPN Sports Talk.